What is going on, and welcome back to Bourbon of the Week. My name is Chris. I'm going to be your host for today, and today we have the 2025 whiskey release schedule according to Breaking Bourbon. Now it says right on here, updated weekly as of 1/21/25. Dates listed are when distilleries begin to release product to market. Individual states will vary. So this isn't an all-encompassing list. Obviously more stuff is going to come out than what's on this list, but we're going to go through it. We're going to tell you the ones that we're going to buy. We're going to tell you the ones that we're going to pass on, and let's talk about some of these that I didn't even know were coming out this year. But first, let's pour up some 2024's most likely whiskey of the year. I still have that video to put out. We're going to be quick on most of these. Some of these I haven't even heard of before, but everybody knows before we get started on that. Time for the traditional sip. Cheers, y'all. I haven't drank in January. So let's jump right into things here. We have January 1st. This is Chattanooga Whiskey Experimental Batch 042 Amaro Barrel Finished Rye. This is 110 proof and it's $70. Now, I do know a little bit about Chattanooga. I don't know a lot about it. This is one that at $70, I'll probably try it. Amaro Barrel Finished Rye. I've never had anything like that. So it definitely intrigues me. 110 proof seems great. It's an experimental batch. I always love experimental stuff to see if I like it, if I don't like it. So it's something that if I do see on the shelf here in Pennsylvania, I doubt I will, but if I go somewhere else and I see that on the shelf, I'll probably pick it up for $70. It doesn't seem like too much of a risk. Next on the list, it says Doc Holliday Bottled and Bond Straight Bourbon. I'm pretty sure this isn't new. It says new over here, 100 proof, $40. I think Doc Holliday already has this. This probably sits on the shelf, but I won't pick this one up. Dragon's Milk Origin Bonded 2025. No idea about this one. Never even heard of Dragon's Milk Origin Bonded. It doesn't say it's a bourbon or a rye. Maybe this is something else, another whiskey that I've just never heard of. But that one, I mean, maybe I'll pick it up. It doesn't even have a price tag here, so who knows if I'll find that or not. Then we get into one that everybody's talking about every year. They do 3 different releases. The first one in January is Elijah Craig Barrel Proof Bourbon Batch A125. Now I looked it up and it is 118.2 proof. It's $75 and it's only 10 years, 7 months. Now listen, as a bourbon influencer, you will start to see videos on these probably already out there. Mash and Drum probably already has one out there. Scott, My Bourbon Journey, probably already has a review out there. How they get their hands on these bottles so early, I just could not tell you. This is one at 10 years, 7 months I'm not going to get. Until Elijah Craig Barrel Proof gives me that 12-year age statement or higher, I'm kind of over it, especially if this price tag keeps going up. I don't really care about this bottle that much. Bottle number 5 is Heaven's Door Bootleg Series Volume VI, which is 6, right? VI. 121.6 proof, aged 12 years. Bourbon finished in limousine cigar barrels, $500 for 5,000 bottle release. A $500 Heaven's Door Bootleg Series Volume number 6. Have they already had 5 other volumes of these and I just don't know about it? I can tell you one thing, I'm not paying $500 for it. There's 5,000 bottles being released. Aged 12 years doesn't garner $500. Bourbon finished in limousine cigar, it just doesn't sound like something I'm going to like anyway. So that's definitely going to be off our list. And then getting back to Heaven Hill, we've got Larceny Barrel Proof Bourbon, batch A125 for $65. I believe they're going to stay around $65. Maybe they're $70 this year. Who really knows? But Larceny Barrel Proof is something that I've kind of geared myself more towards finding over Elijah Craig Barrel Proof again until they come back with that 12-year age statement. The next 2 on our list are interesting. Will I be hunting them? I can tell you very shortly. I'm going to review both of these, and that is Old Forester 117 Series 1910 Extra Old, which is very interesting to me. This is the 117 Series Extra Old, comes in at 93 proof, and the release date on this was 1/22/25. So this is just hitting the market. I'm very excited. Thank you to Old Forester for sending me both of these. And then again, next on the list is the Old Forester 1924. This is another release of the 1924. People didn't love the original release of 1924. I believe this is a 10-year age statement on this. This is 90 proof. This one is $115. This one is $65 for a 375 milliliter, which is what they put the 117 series out at. Both of these are interesting to me. Again, I'll tell you in a little bit if I like these or not. So if you want to hear anything about these, make sure you follow along here on the channel and click that follow button. Subscribe button, whatever it is. Up next is one that people are already talking about as well, and that's Penelope Havana. This is 100 to 110 proof, bourbon finished in rum and maple casks. Now, if you like sweet whiskey, this might be one for you. I heard it's like overly sweet. I'm a big fan of what Penelope does already. I love sweet whiskey, so it's one that I will probably pick up. Next is Penelope Wheated Bourbon. This is one, I'm pretty sure this is standard, 95 proof, aged 4 to 6 years, 74% corn, 16% wheat, 7% rye, 3% malted barley. They're 4-grain mash bill. fill. That's probably one that I personally will leave on the shelf. I have enough Penelope in my collection already. I'm looking for the more higher end stuff from them at this point. Next, it says Redwood Empire Pipe Dream. Pretty sure that's already out. Next is a single malt. Stranahan's is a very good single malt. It's Founders Release, American, 120 proof, aged 12 years, $200. If you're a American single malt, I know a lot of people are moving in that direction. If you're an American single malt fan, tell me if does that make sense? 120 proof, 12 years for $200. I don't know. It seems a little bit high for me. The next two are very interesting, and I think I've seen more of these on the list. Two Souls 6-year South Dakota straight bourbon whiskey featuring Black Fork Farms, and Two Souls 6-year Wisconsin rye maple bourbon finished featuring Woolersheim. I don't know if I'm saying that. Distilling, 124.8 proof at $90. And the first one that I talked about, which was a bourbon whiskey from Black Fork Farms, is 122.8 proof at $90 as well. Now, I don't know much about Two Souls. Again, this is the first time that I'm reading about them, but I think I've seen more of them on the list, and maybe they're actually coming up soon. So in February, we'll get to those, but it sounds like they're doing some interesting stuff. It sounds like they're finding some maybe smaller distilleries or something like that and working with them, getting some high proof whiskey from them, and some pretty good age statements. 6 years is nothing to blink at. So those will be interesting at $90. I mean, 6 years, $90, but you're talking, it sounds like cash strength. Maybe I'll keep my eye out. I'll try one or two if I've either heard of the distillery, or maybe if I never heard of the distillery and I want to try something from them. But it'll be something I usually reach out to people from that area if I have contacts there to see how good it really is. Up next, and our second to last here in January, is going to be Wheel Horse Double Oak Bourbon. Again, I'm pretty sure this is already out, 101 proof, 5 years, $35. This is supposed to be like the Wild Turkey Killer from their original stuff. I don't know how good the Double Oak Bourbon is, but at $35, why not pick up a bottle? Last but not least, in January, they have Woodford Reserve Double Oaked Bourbon. This is 90.4 proof, and it's $200, and I can promise you I will not be picking up this bottle, even if I see it on the shelf at $200. The 90.4 proof just bothers me at that price tag. Double Oaked doesn't really do anything for me anyway. I don't like when it's over oaked. If you do, maybe this is something that you're going to pick up. Let me know. Let's speed things up here. We're getting into February. We have Bernheim Original Barrel Proof Wheat Whiskey Batch A225. Is this the same batching that they do for like Elijah Craig and stuff like that? A225. I don't know if that means A is probably the first release. It's coming out in February. It kind of makes sense. I've heard a lot of good things about Bernheim. I haven't really tried their stuff myself, but maybe, again, I don't have a price on here or anything. Maybe I'll pick this up if the price is right. Up next, High West Bottled in Bond Bourbon. I'm pretty sure this is going to be High West distillate, so I will pick this up. It's $80. Its expected date is in February. Bottled in Bond coming out of High West. Again, if it's their own distillate, I will be picking that up. If it's not their own distillate and it's still some sourced whiskey, I've had enough High West to know what I like. The next two may surprise you here. They may not. If you're a fan of the channel, maybe you already know this about me. Jack Daniel's 10-year, Jack Daniel's 12-year, Batch 4 and Batch 3. I will not be picking these up. The only way that I will pick these up is if I want to give them to somebody at the price that I get. If I find these at a good price, I know people that like them, so maybe I'll pick them up for that reason. I am not picking these up to try them. I'm not picking them up to review them. I haven't enjoyed them over the years. I'm pretty sure Jack Daniel's is coming out with a 14-year as well. Haven't had that one yet, so maybe that's something that I'll pick up, but I will not be picking up Jack Daniel's 10-year or 12-year Batch 4 and Batch 3. Next is Leopold Bro's 25th Anniversary Edition Rye. Never heard of this one before, so I can't really speak to it. After that is Old Elk Infinity Blend 2025. I haven't been the biggest fan of Old Elk. I know a lot of people love it. It just doesn't seem like it's for me, so I'll probably leave that one on the shelf. Next is an interesting one, and I'm back and forth on it, and that's Penelope American Light Whiskey 17-year. American Light Whiskey does interest me. I've heard some people talk poorly on this. I haven't tried it myself. 17-year-old obviously is something that's impressive when it comes to an age statement. 138.8 proof and only $99. Again, it just seems like it's something at that price point that I want to try. Am I going to like it or not? I don't know, but if I see it at $100, I'll probably pick it up. And to round out February, we have 4 different bottles from that Two Souls that I was talking to you about. 3-year Florida, gonna skip on that. 5-year South Carolina, that's Highwire Distilling. Maybe a 100% Jimmy Red Bourbon. I don't know what the prices on these are either. 6-year California Bourbon Maple Cast Finish, probably not. This one does interest me though because it's from Finger Lakes Distilling, and I've had some good stuff from them, and that's Two Souls 7-year New York Rye finished in used honey spirit barrels featuring Finger Lakes Distilling. That's something that does kind of interest me. That rye with that honey finish sounds like it might be pretty good. To keep things moving, March and April have no releases announced yet. May is Blood Oath Pack number 11 Bourbon finish in añejo tequila barrels. I know this is going to make a lot of people interested. A lot of people love tequila at this point. Blood Oath is something that is on my 100% do not buy list. I haven't had one that I liked yet. I don't know what it is about it. The price tag really bothers me. The look of the bottle really bad. I just don't like Blood Oath. I haven't had one. I had an early on stuff, and I've stopped buying it ever since then. In May, we come out with Elijah Craig Barrel Proof B525. I'm sure there's a label out there. I didn't look it up. You know the rules. If it's under 12 years, I'm not picking it up. Larceny Barrel Proof batch B525. I might pick this one up. Again, it just depends when it hits my market, if I'm interested in it. Little Book Chapter 9. This is another interesting one. May sounds like a great release month for a lot of people. This is an interesting one for a couple of different reasons. I've enjoyed a couple of the little books, but I've also hated a couple of the little books as well. This doesn't have any information on what it is here. Again, it might be already released in like a press release or something like that, but without knowing more about this, I don't know if I'm going to enjoy it or not. Once I learn more about the actual bottle and the release, maybe I'll pick it up. Again, I don't own one Little Book Chapter in my entire collection. I've sampled some, I've had some at bars. Other than that, I don't really find a need to keep it in my collection. I like the regular Booker stuff myself. And last in May is going to be Old Fitzgerald Bottled and Bond Spring 2025. Again, I love Old Fitzgerald stuff. Some of them are better than others. If I find it at MSRP, I'm going to pick it up. I'm not going to lie to you guys. June, we're back to some Chattanooga whiskey. You guys got to tell me, am I missing out with this Chattanooga whiskey stuff? Let me move this over. Is Chattanooga whiskey something that I should be buying? This is Bottled and Bond Vintage Series Spring 2021. What was it? Bottled in 2000? Why is it 2000? It's 2025. So is this only a 4-year-old Chattanooga? Maybe. I don't know. It's something that maybe I'll pick up, but that's all they have for June. July and August, no releases announced yet. And then we get into September, starting out with another Bernheim Original Barrel Proof Wheat Whiskey Batch B925. So that's how it's got to be the same thing. B925, but it's usually C925. I don't know how they're doing it with Bernheim, but is another thing that you guys can tell me, should I be picking up these different Bernheim batches? I mean, I love barrel proof whiskey. I love wheated whiskey. Bernheim seems like a pretty good company, so let me know if I should be passing on that or buying that. Up next is Four Roses 2025 limited edition small batch. These are usually really good. Some batches, again, better than others. If I can find it at MSRP, I will be buying it. This one's an interesting one. Garrison Brothers Cowboy Bourbon 11th edition. I had a sample of, I don't think last year's, but the year before. I think my brother-in-law got a bottle last year as well. Garrison Brothers Cowboy Bourbon is some of the best stuff that they put out, personally, that I think. I think the price tag makes it tough. I'm curious to see what this price tag is this year, and if I'll buy a bottle myself or maybe do like a bottle split with my Patreon. Check out our Patreon page, that link in the description below. But Garrison Brothers Cowboy Bourbon definitely interests me. Up next, we have Little Book, the Infinite Edition number 2. Obviously, they had to have an edition number 1. Let me know in the comment section below if it was good. Little Book, we just talked about it. Maybe I'll buy it, maybe I won't. Maker's Mark Cellar Aged 2025 release. I missed out on the first one. Heard a lot of great things about it. Heard some bad things about it as well. Again, if I find it at MSRP, I'll probably pick up a Maker's Mark Cellar Aged. It just seems like a pretty cool bottle. Old Forester 2025 Birthday Bourbon. We're going to put that, we do a lottery over here in Pennsylvania. We'll put our name in the hat. We won't win it. Parker's Heritage Collection 19th edition, same thing. We'll put Parker's Heritage, yeah, right? Is that a lottery here in Pennsylvania? I'm pretty sure that's a lottery here in Pennsylvania as well. We'll put our name in the hat. We'll see what happens. Wyoming Whiskey National Parks Edition number 5. I've had a few Wyoming whiskeys. I don't know if this National Parks Edition is any better or any worse than their stuff. I'll probably pass on that myself. Yellowstone 2025 limited edition bourbon. I'm not a big fan of Yellowstone stuff. It just hasn't impressed me over the years. And let's get into, we're already into October, y'all. October has Booker's Bourbons, the Reserves 2025 limited edition bourbon. I've heard some really, really good things and seen some really, really crazy prices on the Reserves in 2024. I'm mad that I missed out on it. It did drop here in Pennsylvania and I just didn't get my hands on one. I will be looking out on that in 2025. The only problem that I have is the second release on things always seems to disappoint compared to the first. Does anybody else notice that? It's like they know that they can put out a banger product for the first release and then be like, people will try this for at least 2 or 3 more releases. And then after that, we don't really have to care about it anymore. We'll get our money in that amount of time. But that one does interest me, depending on the price again. Some of these Bookers get out of control. They don't have any other Bookers on here. I don't know if they just skipped those on here or if they haven't heard about them yet, but Bookers is something that I always look for. Up next in October, we all know about the Buffalo Trace Antique Collection. I will put my name in the hat when it comes to that because that is also a lottery here in Pennsylvania. The number one that I would be looking for is probably GTS, followed up by William Lure Weller. I don't really care. Thomas H. Handy, maybe. Like, I'm not going to be disappointed. I'll definitely put my name in for all of them. If I win Bourbon 1, I'll be excited, but GTS is probably like top of the top, and then I would go William LaRue Weller, and we're back to some Chattanooga whiskey bottled and bond fall 2021 vintage. So I don't know what's up with this Chattanooga stuff, but they got some fall 2021 stuff coming out. Up next in October, we have Elijah Craig Barrel Proof Batch C925. I already told you about it. If it's over 12 years, I'll buy it. I promise you, Heaven Hill, just put it over 12 years. I understand you don't have that much older stuff, but don't drop the age statement and raise the prices. High West, a Midwinter Nights Dram, Act 13. I skipped on Act 12. I'll skip on Act 13. Act 11 was okay. Act 10 was pretty good. Act 9 was great. We're just falling off with that, and it seems like people are just buying it to buy it. King of Kentucky 2025 edition. I've only ever had a sample of some KOK, and it was good. I will buy a King of Kentucky if I come across it, if nothing else, to share it with some friends that also want to try it. And last for October is going to be Old Overholt Extra Aged Cask Strength in 2025. I'll probably pick that up depending on the price. And finally, we're getting into November and December, and we have Angel Envy Cask Strength Straight Bourbon for 2025. I'm probably going to pass on that. I'm not a huge fan of Angel's Envy. Barrel Bourbon New Year 2026. I'm always picking up barrel products if I have the opportunity. Pappy Van Winkle Collection, we'll put our name in the lottery. We'll get them if they're MSRP. We don't hunt them outside of that. Penelope Estate Collection Founders Reserve 2025. I believe they had a 2024 release. It was like 80 bucks. If they can do that again, I didn't get a chance to find the Estate Collection this year, but I will get my hands on one next year at $80. Remus Gatsby Reserve 2025 edition. If they could go back to Remus Repeal 5, I will definitely love it. I'll probably pick it up just to see how good it is. But other than that, I feel like, again, that 5 was so good and it's kind of fallen off ever since. The last two in November are going to be Widow Jane The Vaults 2025. Not a huge fan of the Vaults collection. I've had a sample of it. I love Widow Jane outside of that. Again, some of their price tags just seem a little bit exorbitant. And Woodford Reserve Masters Collection. I leave all Woodford stuff on the shelf except for Double Oak store picks. Those are the only thing that I truly love from Woodford Reserve. And that's just me. I know a lot of people love, especially the Masters Collection. Let's get into December, which is one bottle actually, so we can go right into that. A. Smith Bowman Cask Strength Bourbon. I will be looking for that. I've heard great things about it. I haven't had it myself. 2025 release. If I can get my hands on that, I will buy it. Then we have a few expected in 2025s. I guess they don't know the exact release on these, and some of these are very interesting. E.H. Taylor Distillers Council Bourbon. I will be finding that if I can find it. I usually can't find a lot of the higher end E.H. Taylor stuff. If it comes to market at MSRP, it's a bottled and bond 100 proof, at least 4 years old. I will buy that at MSRP. Daniel Weller 2025. I don't have $16,000, so I won't be buying that. There's the Jack Daniel's 14-year-old that I was talking about. These are already labeled, printed, bottled. These should probably be out sooner rather than later. I'll try it for the first time, but like the 10-year and the 12-year, I didn't love those, so if the 14-year is better, maybe I'll continue buying that. This will be batch 1 of that. Penelope 2025 Project Chapter 1. Don't know much about that at this point, but I can tell you it's probably going to be really good. The question on that one is going to be the price tag, and here's the best one. Wild Turkey's 101 8-year Kentucky Straight Bourbon. That means that Wild Turkey's 70th Jimmy Russell 8-year anniversary edition was so good, they decided we're going to keep rolling with that. The Wild Turkey 101 8-year, if it's anything like Jimmy Russell's 70th anniversary edition, I'm going to love that. So hopefully that's what they're putting out here, and hopefully it reaches as many people as the original release did with the 70th anniversary edition. I still want to find another 2 or 3 bottles of that. Following up with another Wild Turkey, which is the Master Keep's Beacon. If this is $275 and it's not good, I might be done with Master's Keep. I might be done with Master's Keep. It's just getting a little bit too expensive for mediocre whiskey. I didn't love the Triumph. Hopefully this one is a bourbon. I couldn't find much information about it. $275 is just a lot of freaking money. Woodford Reserve Chocolate Whispered Redux. Is that how you say that? Redux, R-E-D-U-X. Woodford Reserve, we already talked about it. I'm not going to buy that. That just seems a little bit crazy to me. Chocolate Whisper Redux. What are we doing here? So there we have it, our 2025 whiskey release from Breaking Bourbon. I will put this link in the description below, and I want to know in the comment section which of these you'll definitely be buying, which of these you'll be leaving on the shelf, and what's not on this list that you heard is coming out in 2025 that you're most excited about. But hey, that's where I'm going to leave you for today. If you like this type of content, click that like and subscribe button here on YouTube. We do reviews of all of the newest releases as well as videos like this. Make sure you check out our Patreon page, that link in the description below. We are doing our second Patreon meetup, and we're doing it at Sagamore Spirits Distillery this April. We're going there. We're doing a tour of the farm, a tour of the distillery, and a barrel pick as a group. It's going to be a great time to get involved in stuff like that. Check out the Patreon page. Check us out on Instagram. Go click that follow button over there. Please don't drink and drive. Always drink responsibly. Stay healthy, stay happy, and stay knowing what's coming out and when it's coming out. That's how you find whiskey. Cheers, y'all.